Hello, everyone. Welcome to this roundtable on how to efficiently marry owner-operated store with a marketplace strategy. So my name is Vincent, part of the business development team at DataHawk, and I'm really excited to have three amazing people joining our roundtable today. We have Adrian from Lengo, we have Christian from Gominga, and Nick from HelloTax. So maybe I'll let you guys introduce yourself, tell us more about you and your company. Adrian, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm Adrian, head of field marketing at Lengo. And Lengo basically helps brands and retailers sell their products online worldwide across all sales channels, including marketplaces, price comparison sites, social media, etc. And we are working with over 1,600 online channels worldwide since 2009. And we are currently an essential partner for around 4,600 retailers and brands in 42 countries. For example, Nespresso or L'Oreal Paris. Yeah.
Christian, if you want to take the lead.
Sure, thanks, Vincent. So my name is Christian. I'm one of the co-founders of Gominga. We are the experts for online review management. We're a Munich-based technology company, and we enable our clients, such as Samsung, Kärcher, Garmin, etc., to manage all their ratings, reviews, and Q&A across more than 300 platforms globally. So, for example, they use our technology to listen to the customer feedback, to gain consumer insights from product reviews on Amazon, for example, from mobile app reviews in the Apple App Store, from location reviews on Google or Yelp, and from web shop reviews using Trustpilot as a technology, for example. So we address the marketing and product management teams for review analytics and the customer service teams to respond directly to individual reviews or questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. How about you, Nick?
Hey guys, nice to meet you. I'm Nick Bennett. I'm the partnership manager at HelloTax and also the founder of Extreme Power Brands, which is a partnership with a service agency with 1,000 companies. And Extreme Power is my first partner. So I run the partnership for them, meaning, we help sellers expand in Europe. HelloTax is a VAT compliance solution which allows sellers to set up VAT, register for VAT, and do the filings in Europe, which is the blocker #1 for expansion. If you don't have taxes, you cannot start selling. So we're the gatekeepers to expand in Europe. So we have a software. The company was founded 6 years ago by two ex-Amazon sellers, Christian and Christoph. Christian is Spanish, Christoph is Austrian. They met online in a Facebook group chatting about VAT compliance and decided to build a company. Company is fully remote, and we have over 1,000 clients that we service and 1,000 partners for my network. So that's the long story short. And I used to be a client of HelloTax because I was an e-commerce seller for 10 years. So I know from experience, why I use them and why I recommend them right now.
Yeah, and thank you guys for participating in the summit. And for our viewers, let us know in the chat if you guys have any questions. We'll try to cover those at the end of the session. And the first topic I wanted to approach is trends when it comes to e-commerce. And maybe Adrian, you may want to kick us off on this one. What do you believe are the latest trends when it comes to selling on marketplaces?
Yeah, I think before giving the latest trends, I think it's important to remember that by 2024, over 40% of global e-commerce sales will be generated via online marketplaces. So it's huge. Marketplaces are or will become essential in every e-commerce strategy. And I think you could say that they are the department stores of the 21st century, in a kind of. But I identify mainly three trends. I think the first one is the ever-growing kind of business enabler universe behind marketplaces. Yeah, you have more and more technologies which help retailers and sellers with their marketplace business. And it's something which is kind of mandatory. Think of logistics, feed management. You need help here if you want to be, if you want to succeed on marketplaces. And the trend shows from year to year, basically, that it is no longer possible without technological assistance. Yeah. And you need it because the competition is so strong on marketplaces that you have a lot of challenges. For example, the declining margin on marketplaces and a lack of data. And to tackle these challenges, you need help and you need technology to make your marketplace business a success. This is the first trend. The second trend, in my opinion, which goes with the competition on marketplaces, is the rise of retail media. So basically the marketing to consumers on marketplaces, basically ads. Amazon, of course, dominates retail media in the US and Europe. No surprise with Amazon sponsored ads, etc. I mean, you guys at DataHawk, you know a lot about it too. But other marketplaces catch up, you know, with own or third-party technologies. And that means that the retail media enablement on marketplaces is becoming more and more mature. It's not just Amazon, but also other players, other marketplaces. And here you have the famous budget ad shift from like Google to more Amazon and now more and more marketplaces. And the third trend I see is that marketplaces are becoming kind of content and entertainment platforms, because it's here kind of an inspiration from Asia. In Asia, it's already the case. And I have one example here from Europe, not from the US, but from Europe. Zalando, so one of the main fashion marketplaces in Europe, bought just this week, I guess, the influential global media brand for fashion and lifestyle, Highsnobiety. And Highsnobiety will act as a strategic and creative advisor to Zalando, providing support in the areas of inspirational storytelling and product range design. So the content is more and more important on marketplaces and how you display products. And here, I think the word shoppertainment is really important. So the combination of shopping and entertainment, and it's kind of, it combines e-commerce, entertainment, and the consumer's everyday lifestyles.
Awesome. And do you see any like the big differences between marketplaces in Europe and the US, for instance?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question, because here in front of an audience predominantly from the US, I think it's quite interesting to show the differences between the US marketplace landscape and the European one. In the US, basically, you have two big players, Amazon and Walmart. If you manage these correctly with the help of partner or technology, then you should be fine, more or less. Of course, you have other marketplaces in the US, eBay or Target, for example. But eBay has been losing market share in the US over recent years, and marketplaces run by Target or even Walmart are orders of magnitude smaller than Amazon's. But there's an interesting change here, because Walmart is catching up with Amazon in the US. And since Amazon is stricter with Chinese sellers, they go instead to Walmart. In contrast to the American e-commerce market, you have the European market, and this market is highly complex, competitive, and very, very fragmented in terms of languages, platforms, habits, whatsoever. And the market is so complex by nature due to the weight of local players alongside global leaders. Because you have also Amazon and eBay in Europe, but on the other side, you have a multitude of other very important marketplaces. You have generalists, for example, Otto in Germany, Cdiscount in France, or Allegro in Poland. And you have, on top of that, a lot of verticals, kind of niche marketplaces, like Zalando, fashion, beauty in Europe. You have Mano, which is garden, home, DIY. And just to give you a number, in Germany alone, I mean, you have more than 100 marketplaces, it's so complex that you need kind of a third-party technology helping you, because each marketplace is different and works also differently. So for the US audience, I hope I didn't scare you off, before the launch on European marketplaces, but it's really something you should know before.
Christian, you seem to agree with Adrian. What's your take on this?
Yes, I mean, we're just about to publish a new study on online marketplaces, and I can fully underline or strengthen what Adrian said. I mean, in Germany, we even counted 200 marketplaces as of now, and the same is for any other European country. I mean, you have your local generalists, as Adrian pointed out, and then you have all those product segment specialists like Zalando, etc. So it is fairly complex, and it's more a really strategic decision. Which European market do you want to enter? Do you start with Amazon because you're familiar with Amazon in the US, for example? Are you focused on any specific industry, and then you go for Zalando, for Mano Mano, or the Obi and Otis of Germany, etc.? So it's highly complex. You really have to make sure that you choose the right partner for your business, for your industry, and then you have to see that you can manage 5, 10, 15 different marketplaces throughout Europe. And to do that professionally, I think it's more complex. I'm not saying that the US market is easy, but as Adrian pointed out, depending on the industry, maybe a handful of e-retailers or marketplaces are enough to address the North American market. Whereas in Europe, if you don't only want to focus on one country, then you really have to work and play on all of these different players in each country.
Right.
Exactly, and that's where I jump in and I tell everybody. So let's keep it simple, guys. Just start with one country, one marketplace, as we always recommend, which is Germany. Amazon, Germany. You start there from the big guys, big data, big sales. You start testing there. You can use Amazon as a base to expand across Europe. You make deliveries for either Amazon if you're non-EU, or for the OSS across Europe. And once you identify the markets that work well for you, then you can find local marketplace and you can expand outside Amazon. But start small and expand, because like Adrian was saying, if you start selling on Amazon, Cdiscount, Kaufland, Shopify on the other side, and if you need VAT in multiple countries, you'll get scared and it will fail very likely. But if you start small and just move step by step and conquer Europe, then you have a success. And that's something that we always recommend to companies and retailers from the USA to do in Europe.
And I'm coming back to you, Adrian. Like, what do you think are the best two-channel strategies between your own online shop and marketplaces?
Yeah, I think it all starts with some questions. Like when you go from your online shop to marketplaces, I think you need to answer some key questions. Yeah. For example, what do I want to achieve on the marketplace? Yeah, it's like sales, revenue, correct brand display, a new target group. So this kind of thing. Then also, as we talked, only national or international. Yeah, only the US, or also in the near future Europe on top with marketplaces. Also, which model I want as a seller on marketplaces. Yeah. Would I be a seller, a vendor, a hybrid? And I think the most important question is also the products. Which products should I display on marketplaces, and which one in my own store? And here I have a quite good example, in my opinion, from the fashion brand. Yeah, assume we are a fashion brand in Europe, and we want, as a brand, sell through marketplaces. So we are not choosing generalist marketplaces, because for fashion, verticals are much better. So we are focusing ourselves on fashion marketplaces. And here, what is really important with fashion marketplaces is the segmentation of your product catalog. So don't throw all your products on one marketplace. Yeah, no. You need a real strategy. And when we take this fashion brand, a strategy might be to reserve part of the new fashion collection, for example, exclusively for the own online shop. Yeah, So which leads to a certain exclusivity in your store. Yeah. Then, however, the larger part of it could be sold to strong vertical fashion marketplaces, such as Zalando and Yoox, for example, for Europe. And excess inventory and discounted items, you could resell them to Amazon, because Amazon is quite strong when it comes to cheap fashion, and they have not the premium content fashion approach as, for example, Zalando and Yoox. And items that can be discounted even more, yeah, could go to kind of sales flash marketplaces, because in Europe you have a lot of these types, like VP, Zalando Lounge, Showroom Privé, and this is really what a sales kind of strategy could look like with different marketplaces and your own shop. And this applies not only for fashion, but for many other categories. Yeah? I mean, you can do the same for a garden and DIY brand, for example. Yeah? So for me, it's really play with your products, play with the positioning, and test your products on the marketplace, and which works best. Yeah. That's what I would give as an advice. Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian. And Christian, let me turn back to you. So part of your role at Gominga is to collect consumer insights and understanding their behavior. And one question for you is, what are like some best practices you see when analyzing customer feedbacks, and why are those very, very important?
So we are the technology provider, so we enable our clients that use our SaaS technology to gain consumer insights. And how do they do it, and what's best practice? So with our technology at scale, you can analyze all customer feedback in terms of ratings, reviews, and Q&A throughout those platforms. So Walmart, Amazon, Zalando, whatever it is, globally. And what is really important today is that brands and sellers, vendors, whatever model you choose or whatever background you have, that you really take that customer feedback seriously and that you engage with your customers. So what most companies do on Facebook already for years and years, using some software technology to engage with consumers, to give feedback, to communicate. The same is important on online marketplaces such as Amazon. And when it comes to consumer insights, best practices that we see from our clients, so for example, big global brands, as I said, Samsung in the consumer electronics industry, Kärcher in the gardening or DIY industry, in the US, for example, Ryobi tools, so they have drills, etc. They use our tool to analyze all that customer feedback. And why is that important, or why does that make sense? Well, more or less, I mean, it's free market research. So you have the user feedback, you have the tester feedback, you have your consumer feedback out there in terms of ratings, reviews, and also in questions. Don't forget those questions. They may hint to very interesting flaws of your products and where things that consumers don't understand. So you can analyze that with our software. And obviously today with AI, with sentiment analysis, with competitor analysis, this is really key for marketing people, for product managers, for product development teams to really understand that feedback. And I mean, quick wins, and I mean, these seem to be no-brainers, but we see them every day, is that the product detail page, the description of the product, the wording, the videos, the pictures, they are not clear enough for your buyers. They are not clear enough for the people out there. So often quick wins after analyzing the reviews is that you should improve your product detail page, that it is not 100% clear for the user what do they actually buy. So it's about managing expectations. And these quick wins then lead to higher conversions, but they also lead to lower return rates. Yeah. So this is one example as a quick win in terms of analytics, in terms of analyzing the reviews. And then for longer term, what we see, many of our clients, they really use our technology in their product development teams. So with the feedback, they realize, oh, there is a problem with my product, and next year or whenever the next launch is coming up, I can incorporate that user feedback to improve my products. So these are some examples why it makes sense and what are the use cases to really understand and value the customer feedback that you get throughout all those platforms.
So basically, I think when you launch on marketplaces, don't forget also review management, you know, like because on Amazon, if your product has a lot of success, then also the trouble comes with reviews. So you need to manage them. So I think it's also something that you should forget.
Yeah, feedback reviews are very important. Like a year and a half ago, I spoke with one of the top aggregators. They're actually one of the sweetest clients for Datahawk, you know, and one of them told me, okay, I asked them, okay, how do you guys handle VATs? And they told me we send the Excels to our accountant. Are you serious? How many brands do you have? 100. And then I talked with our developers and we build a solution for these big players where they can manage multiple brands. So if we don't listen to the clients, like Christian is saying, if we don't ask for feedback, I would have never learned about this opportunity. And right now, I know these are big players, big clients, and obviously we help them, but we also grow the company. So reviews are important. Otherwise, you're just swimming without watching. No, it's simple as that.
And maybe I can add to this, as we were talking about trends earlier, what we see the trends in terms of what our clients do is that you have the online marketplaces, then you have the brand web stores, which have become more and more important with the D2C, direct to consumer trend. And depending on the industry and your business model, also the mobile app. And throughout those platforms and those channels or whatever you may call it, it is important to listen to the customer. So to manage all the reviews across those different review types or platforms, and also to respond. I think this is the second most important thing, to also take the opportunity and to communicate with the users. And again, many of our clients, traditional brands, traditional manufacturers, they didn't really have that direct line of communication with the user because often there was a retailer in between. Yeah, but with review management, be it through your online web store, your mobile app, the marketplaces, you really have the opportunity to engage and directly communicate one-on-one with that question, with that negative review, etc., but also one-to-N, to many, because you respond to the individual about his product question on Amazon, about his negative review on Walmart. And after that response to that one individual, thousands of users, of consumers can then read that response to a negative review, to a question, etc. And that again helps so many others because they can see, okay, the brand itself, not only user to user, but also user to brand, the brand values the feedback and they communicate and they engage.
Thank you. Nick, I want to touch on the last topic, which concerns you. So you have to take, into consideration the tax and compliance component when you expand to, for your market strategy. Are there any like best practices you could share with us in terms of, strategy?
Actually, you just did the first best practice. Tax guys speak last, otherwise you scare the listeners or the watchers. So, but just the joke aside, I mean, you need taxes. You have no choice. I mean, without having the VAT in place, you cannot start selling in Europe. And if you try doing that, for example, you cannot do that on Amazon. I mean, you cannot start selling. But if you try that, you get penalized or get in trouble. So just to summarize now, if you want to sell in Europe, if you're a big player or even a small player, you need VAT. So that's the first thing that you get started with because it takes time. I mean, it takes 2, 3, even 4 months in some countries. And that's why I mentioned earlier, we don't ask sellers, where do you want to sell, or clients. We advise them. If you're a US company, you start with Germany because there is some things that a lot of companies don't know. Germany accepts documents in English, which is a big relief. The second thing is there is a specific tax authority in Germany which deals with US companies. Let's say, and actually you get the VAT quicker. So for example, if you're a Chinese seller or even a UK seller, you would wait 3 or 4 months. US sellers, they get the VAT in 1 month after they provide that. So you can see there is certain tricks that if you don't know them, you might make a mistake. So that's very important. I mean, to actually start small and go from there. But like we mentioned earlier, VAT is a must but it's not the only thing. After you start setting up the VT, you need to start working on the rest of the blockers in Europe. So one of the other ones is translations. Like Adrian said earlier, 27, I think 26 European Union countries right now, multiple languages. So if your translation is not correct, nobody's gonna buy your stuff. So nobody cares that you're doing great in the USA or whatever. You have your localized translation, localized listings, and everything. I mean, so you can succeed in each market. So that's the other thing. The next thing is customs. I mean, until you're waiting for it, you need to clear the customs. You need to import your stock to Europe, because if you don't do that, I mean, you would have nothing to sell in Europe. So customs need to be cleared as well. That's why we have the large partner network, which actually helps with all these blockers. And the last part, after you obviously establish that, you need to start selling. And of course, you start small, and then you get data, because if you're just selling in Europe, you have no information. You might think that you have a great brand, but you need to test your assumption. So you start testing, and then you use Christian's software so you can get feedback, and they say, okay, what is this translation? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So like with PPC expansion, it's test and optimize your campaign. And based on the reviews and feedback you get from clients, you actually change your listings, offers and everything. So that's not a very short summary about how the expansion works.
Well, and have you ever witnessed any huge success when expanding to Europe, from a brand or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's actually our core business. We actually help sellers to expand cross-border. And the biggest issue for a seller expanding in Europe is actually the fear that it's hard. And that's really, I mean, that's the reality. Europe is hard because of the things that we mentioned, VAT, multiple markets, languages, thing. But just to be clear, all the effort, it would worth it, because if you're like a US company, Europe is not as competitive once you establish yourself. There's not that many players. So if you do everything correctly, and if you use the local partners like Adrian, Christian, then you can make a killing, and you can make less revenue but more profit in Europe, because it's very likely that if you're successful in the US market, which is the most competitive, you will succeed here. But it's not just without making the effort to do that, make it right.
Yeah, correct. And actually, Lengo helps also US brands and retailers to sell on European marketplaces. And I forgot one thing. The last thing I want to add is just because the big question for each brand and retailer before starting on marketplaces, I think, is the question, how much revenue can I make on a marketplace? Okay. And in order to provide brands and retailers with accurate data-based recommendations when searching for different marketplaces in different countries, we at Lengo, we developed a tool called Insights. And with this tool, merchants can identify the marketplace that are best suited for their products. It's based on a European article number and categories, but by analyzing the orders placed for these same products, an algorithm then can kind of simulate the potential sales for a marketplace. And it works. We had an example from an Italian retailer, and the retailer wanted to start on the French market, and they used Insights, and with it they could find the 4 right marketplaces, and they started. But just that to it.
Yeah, actually, that's very important. I was a speaker at Lunch with Norm, which is one of the biggest Amazon educators, and he told me, Nick, can you do a forecast about the revenue? And to be honest, I didn't have a partner who can do that. So I just found one today. And actually, this is a question that a lot of sellers ask. And if you provide this data, obviously we can help with the rest, because if you have some data insights, they can make a decision. Because
at the end, everything is about actionable data in e-commerce. So
Exactly. And guys, I'll have to cut you off because we're almost out of time. Actually, we're like 1 minute past. But next up, we have Sam Khan, who's going to talk about AI forecasting and recommendation in e-commerce. So make sure you stay tuned for this. And thank you, guys. Thank you so much for attending this event. And
Thanks, Vincent.
Thank you, Vincent.
see you next time.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
Next,
Bye.
Adrian.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.